Good afternoon everybody, welcome back to Marrick's Koi Pond, aka the Swannery. I thought, seeing as this is my second season with the Ozone fitted, I'll give you my thoughts on it. I'll be honest with you, it's only just literally been switched on 36 hours ago. I did switch it on in the spring. I suppose it's like everything in life, there's always compromises with everything. I switched it on in the spring and I wasn't successful with it. Last summer it was absolutely fantastic, all the way through summer. Not a single chemical went in this pond. But I switched it on in the springtime, I suppose at April, end of April, and it just wasn't performing. I thought I had a problem with it. And it kept getting water inside it as well. I'll explain that a bit more when we go in the filter shed. Anyway, I sent it off to get serviced and sent back to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I suppose. And it's just been sitting on top of my filter. But anyway, last few days I've decided to fit it and do a few modifications. But again, I'll explain that when we're in the filter house. But it also had a new UV bulb fitted. What? 2-3 days ago, because the water went ever so green. Anyway, the UV's done a wonderful job of clearing the water. I mean, you couldn't see into this pond, it was that green. Anyway, the UV is switched off now and I'll switch the ozone back on. But already, look, you can see how clear that water is. The shrogia on the fish, that's the beauty of this ozone. It just takes all the colorants out of the water. I mean, I'll be fairly heavy with sake hikari. You know, very heavy this time of the year, especially with these temperatures. And it definitely clouds the water. Well, it doesn't cloud the water, it just it puts colorants in the water, you know. Whereas this ozone will just take them colorants, it's an oxidizer, and it will just like oxidise it. I mean, this has been on 36 hours. I mean, if you see this in another 36 hours into the future, this will be like tap water. It will regime clear. Right, I'll take you into the filter house and just explain to you what I've been up to. Okay people, that's the ozone unit up there, but it has been sitting on top of my filter after I sent it off to get serviced, and full marks to Malcolm, who I bought it from, because he come back to me, he said nothing wrong with it, Marrick, it's perfect. He said it's within all the parameters, it's making ozone gas to the specification. There's not many people would do that. You send it off for a service and they replace it and they charge you for it. I mean, obviously I had to pay for the servicing, but for him to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, especially when it's filled up with water, because they say whatever you do, don't get water, get nowhere near it. So I thought that was 10 out of 10 marks to Malcolm for that. But anyway, it's been sitting on the filter house because I wanted to make some modifications to this mixing tube. Got a mixing tube down there, let me put a torch on it, you can see it. Yeah, you can see all them bubbles going through there. That mixing tube there. The reason it's taken me so long to get this ozone up and running again, because I just knew this was going to cause me problems. So tight for space in here, you wouldn't be able to see down there, but at the end of there it's like a screw-on union fitting down the end of there. There's a screw-on union fitting under there, which is reasonably easy to get to, but I just knew that I'd have problems. What I wanted to do, I wanted to raise it 1 inch, and I wanted to turn the tube round, so you see this valve there that was on the bottom, and I wanted to turn it round so it's on the top, plus I've raised it 1 inch, so that's given me what, 2.5 and 1 inch, so 3.5 inches that's raised from what it was before. Because I'm pretty sure one of the reasons why it was getting water in that ozone unit was because you see that one-way valve, they just keep letting go. Now these are expensive, these are about 15 quid a pop, you know, because it has to be ozone resistant. I think they use like either 2 types of plastic they can use, either it's called Vitron I think, or Klein Air. I think you pronounce it Klein Air plastic, ozone resistant. But anyway, I've done it, but of course got swamped with water in here, and of course you know what it's like, you start panicking. Had to have me back against this wall, my arm in there, can't get your head in there and your arm at the same time, so I'm working completely blind. And there's what, I don't know, 6 inches to work, 6 inches to work with like a pair of oil pliers. That's what I had to use on the unions, like that, you know, that's the unions there. But because it's so tight, literally you can only get 1/8 of a turn at a time, you know, literally 1/8 of a time, 1/8 of a turn, and you're all doing it by hand, you're doing it blind, you can't see what you're doing, you're just doing it by touch and feel. But anyway, I've done it, so that is all up and running now. Now, when I fitted this mixing tube, it was a bit of a compromise because I really wanted one of them sander, I think they call it a sander swim skim. It's like a protein skimmer, but they stand about 6 foot tall, where there's just no room in this field house. I've got no room outside unless I stick it on the pond wall, which just going to look ugly, you know, so plus the cost of them, they're about 1,200 quid, and I thought, nah, I can't do that. Can't spend that sort of money. So I got this thinking it was a compromise, but you know what, after doing some research, I'm pretty glad I made this decision, because a lot of these people with these sander protein skimmers, and even people that keep reef tanks with little tiny protein skimmers, they all moan about how they can smell ozone gas, because on the top of them they've got like an exhaust to help them breathe. So they've got like an exhaust pipe on top of them, and people are having to put like bags of carbon to cover this exhaust so it takes the smell away. Well, to me, it's defeating the object. If it's leaking, you know, if it's exhausting ozone gas, that is a waste of ozone gas. You know, you want that in the system, you don't want that leaking to atmosphere, because I mean it's hard enough to make anyway. So, you know what, I'm glad I got that. That's one worry I haven't got. Now, like I say, I did fire this up. I did fire this up in end of May, but it was getting full of water. It's just the humidity was too high. And one thing I do not like is humidity. Do not like damp air. I much prefer as well. Doesn't prefer it. It needs cool, dry air. Now you can buy air dryers, but they're like £1,000. You know, it's ridiculous. And the other compromise with this is, you know, I'm running it on a 30 litre a minute pump at the moment, which I suppose if you take out all the losses, bends and pipes and everything else, I suppose it equates to about 20 litres a minute, which is what they say, which is what they recommend. But out of that 20 litres a minute air that is going through that ozone unit to generate ozone, I mean, oh, sorry, drum's gone off. How much rubbish we getting? Not a lot. A little bit, but not a lot. What was I saying? Yeah, out of that 20 litres a minute air that's going through there, you know, air is made up of all sorts of things, nitrogen, carbon monoxide, all carbon dioxide, everything, you know. 20% of that air going through there, only probably 20% is oxygen. You know, the rest of it can't be used. You can only generate O3, ozone, with pure oxygen. So 20 litres a minute, probably only 20% of that is actually oxygen that can use. Again, you know, you can buy oxygen generators, but 1,200 quid. Just adds up and gets too expensive. Now, to try and help combat water getting in to the feed side of the ozone generator, this is what you call the water trap with a drain at the bottom. Now, I could never figure out if it's water getting into the ozone generator through this water trap, because although it traps water in it, you know, it just condenses and runs down and gradually fills up. I suppose if that's full of water, there's still going to be water vapour that I suppose could travel along there into the ozone generator. I could never figure out if it was that was at fault or if it was that one-way valve. I suspect it was that one-way valve giving up, hence that's why I've had to modify this. I mean, to be fair, they do say that when you fit this, to fit it at pond level or slightly above pond level, but there's nowhere outside I can fit that where it's disguised, where you can't see it. It just isn't anywhere where you can get to it easily enough. So again, this is a compromise there, but at least by modifying it, I've got another 3.5 inches height on that. And I think what I'm going to do, I've just been keeping my eye on it for the last 36 hours, and so far that hasn't let go. But what I might do is I might move that valve further up above the height of this drum filter. Hopefully that will stop water being dragged in there. But see, look, that's made it beautiful ozone today. Don't know if you can see that. 40% humidity in here in this filter house. And I think when I was running this in the spring, when I fired it up first time, I think it was like 70-75% humidity in here. It's just too damp, just too wet. And like I say, this was running all last summer. I fitted it in June, bought it new in June, fitted it in June, and well, what a difference. Literally within a week that water was gin clear, and because it's an oxidizer, it literally kills everything. Kills all parasites, any free floating parasites that's travelling through there. Their eggs get zapped, gets oxidised, organics gets zapped, oxidised, colorants, chloramines. So this is the reason I bought this. Again, I'm going over ancient history now, but the reason I bought that is because I got this recyclable RO, but when I bought it I didn't realise that this can literally handle everything, but it can't handle chloramines. And my tap water has tons of chloramines in my tap water. And that big blue, you know, I think to fill that up, what was it? I think that's 12.5 kilos, and a 25 kilo bag of catalytic carbon now is over 200 quid, about 220, if my memory serves me right. So this is redundant. I'm not spending any more money on carbon. It's ridiculous. So that's why I went over to the ozone, principally just because of the chloramines, so I could use recyclable RO. But of course, since I've got it, there's other benefits. Like I say, no chemicals went in here last year whatsoever. It will zap all colour, you know, it neutralise all colorants, take all the colorants out of water, all organics out of water, any free floating parasites, any bacteria floating through there, it will zap, oxidise metals, oxidises metals, chlorine, ammonia, nitrite, does a lot, literally does a lot. I'm very pleased with it, and I think I made, like I say, I made the right decision with that tube as opposed to a lot of £1,200 full-size protein skipper, where because it leaches, you know, O2 gas into the atmosphere, you have to stick a bag of carbon on top, which is just defeating the object to me. You want carbon in that water. Sorry, you want ozone in that water to do its job. You don't want that leaking to atmosphere. Now, the other advantage of this is got an alt meter there, 354. Got a table here. Let's have a look, see what the table says. Probably going to flicker. You probably won't be able to read it very well. Even I can't read it. I've got my glasses. Where's my glasses? Just bear with me, people. I'm in a right mess here. I'll put this phone down a minute and see if I can find what I'm after. Bear with me, I'll come back to you. Sorry about that. Right, 354 millivolts that is. If you read this chart, it says 300 to 400 millivolts. The water is extremely clean. The pond filtration and aeration are more and keeping up with the load. This should be the target range for all koi ponds. Now, I did have a problem back in the spring when I fired this up. Like I say, it wasn't working efficiently. It's filling up with water and the humidity weren't wrong, and I did have some problems with my fish, so I PP'd it. Now, the beauty of using a water meter is because when you buy these PP packets, on the back of them the dosage is completely wrong. It's an absolute waste of time going by their dosage, because it's not touching the sides what they tell you to put in there. So I recommend, you know, for people that haven't got an ozone unit and they use PP, the only accurate way you're going to do this is if you buy like a portable Ort pen like that, and what you do, you just put the PP in, and where are we? So you've got to go back, I'll find another page now. Here we go, look. So what I done in the spring, I had to PP it because I did have some problems in the pond actually. I had flukes and I had Costia. Let's see if I can take this away so this is not flickering. There we go, look. 4 to 500, yeah, 500. Very oxidative, very oxidative. I'll read it out to you really. 500 to 550 millivolts, very oxidative water, suitable for killing parasites. Exposure should not be longer than 8 hours. So what I done back in the spring, I obviously dosed it with PP, and I used that Ort pen, and I got it up to about 500, 525, left it there for 4 hours, and it literally killed everything, killed all the flukes, killed all the eggs, killed Costia, kills everything, including the filter bacteria, by the way, as well. But it's just a tip, because what they tell you on the back of the packets is nowhere near enough. You're never going to kill parasites by going on the dosage they tell you on the back of the packet. Say that for nothing. Right, so that's 354 there, millivolts. The other advantage of this is, with that, this pond is exceptionally clean, and it lowers your BODs, which is bacteria oxygen demand. So all that oxygen in the pond that is not being used up by parasites or organics and stuff like that, decomposing materials, means that you've got more oxygen for the filter bacteria, you know, in your moving bed to make use of. So your filters become more efficient, the immune system on your fish becomes even greater than what it is. I mean, I'm not saying this is a panacea of everything and it's, you know, you'll never have to dose your pond again, I'm not saying that, but it's just, oh, it just helps so much, it really does. And also you get to see your lovely fish in lovely clear clarity water. But one thing you must do is do not let ozone gas anywhere near your pond water. I know you're thinking to yourself, well, that's what he's doing. Well, I'm not. It's going through there, which is, you're right, it's pond water, but that ozone gas is going nowhere near that biofilter or my shower outside. I mean, there's somebody on YouTube saying, oh, it don't work, it killed all my filter bacteria. Oh, it's rubbish, useless, killed all my filter bacteria. You know, some of these people don't know anything. They buy these things, just plonk them on and think it's going to be, oh, you know, you don't buy something that oxidises everything and then pump the ozone gas into your filter bay, do you? Which is what this fella was doing. He was pumping ozone straight into his filter bay and he wonders why all his filter died. This is the same bloke who put a video out 2 years earlier. He bought a RO system, and you know the wastewater from the RO system, which is supposed to go down the drain, what was he doing with it? He was feeding it into his pond. I mean, honestly, these people are dangerous. Anyway, that's enough of that. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is that is a 2 gram unit, that is, and I reckon the ozone gas is a very short-lived gas. Very short-lived gas, because it wants to revert. As soon as it's killed something, it's obviously neutralised the ozone gas, but any gas that goes through that tube and it hasn't neutralised anything, it comes out the other end as pure saturated water. And I'll go outside and I'll quickly explain that to you. Look at all them air bubbles coming out of there, and look at the colour of them. Look, they are white bubbles. There's no smell of ozone, there's no ozone going into this water pond whatsoever, and the secret is because there's no ozone gas left. It's zapped, it's oxidised everything, or whatever's left, it reverts back to what they call free radicals, which means it's just a single O atom, and then what it will do, it will meet another single O atom, join together, and that gives you O2, which is oxygen. So it's just pure oxygen bubbles coming out of there, no ozone whatsoever. And you're asking, well, how do you know that? How do you know there's no ozone coming out of there? Well, like I said in the filter house, that's a 2 gram unit, and they reckon, let me just take a walk up here. Gram unit, I reckon, for every, just bear with me a minute, I'm back, we had a plane flying over. In the filter house I was saying that ozone is a very short-lived gas, and it wants to either oxidise something, or if it doesn't oxidise anything, it breaks down and becomes a single O atom, looking for another single O atom to join together to make an O2 atom. But it's a very short-lived gas, and they tell you for every gram of ozone produced you need a metre, or was it 2 metres? I think it was a metre for every gram of, you need metre of pipe work for every gram of ozone produced for it to revert back, you know, for it not to be dangerous. Now that's a 2 gram unit in there, and my returns coming out of that filter house are about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You know what, I'm going to say 14 metres. I'm going to say 14 metres my pipe run is to where them bubbles are coming out of there, to where them bubbles are exiting. So that ozone gas has broken down. There's none left. There's none left entering that pond. I've got 1 return over there. I've got 2 returns there. And that is the last return. Now you're probably saying, well, how come he's got bubbles coming out of there and he's got no bubbles coming out of these other returns? Well, that's because it's air, and air likes to take, you know, air rises, so these returns go sink down into the pond, so it just comes along the top, doesn't go down into the pond and come out of them jets, just goes along all the pipe work, all the pipe work, all the pipe work, all the pipe work, and because that's the last in line, it's got nowhere to go, it's got to come out of there, it's got to escape out of there. So there is no ozone, there's no smell of ozone whatsoever, because it's dissipated, it's gone, it's done its job. And not only has it done its job, but any free radicals left over, it's joined together with other free radicals to make O2. That is pure saturated oxygen coming out of there. Right, so we'll wander back down the filter house again. There we are, look. This is what they call an ozone reactor. I mean, what do they call it, a reactor? I mean, I don't know, it's stupid. It's just a mixing tube basically. Got a load of plastic veins in there, and the idea is it chops them bubbles up. By the time it gets to the end of that tube, they're very fine micro bubbles. They're not very big bubbles at all. So the finer the bubbles, the more ozone it holds, if you know what I mean. And then it can start its job of oxidising any pollutants, any bacteria, any parasites going through there. But like I said, everything comes with compromises, and the compromise with this is you need very low humidity. It does not like high humidity, so I've learnt my lesson. I shan't run this. I can't get that in focus. I shan't run this any more than when that says 60. If that says 60 or above, I shan't run it. But it's ideal for this time of year, and it's switched off during the winter anyway, because obviously the feeding regime slows down and everything else. But 3,000 gallon pond this is, you know, and I've got no there's no trickle in trickle out on this pond. There's just like a, I forget what they call that valve now, but you know, that valve just opens as that water sinks. When the drum cleans itself, that just opens and lets water in that the drum's used to clean. So there's no trickle in trickle out. So, you know, if I come in here in the spring, I'll still expect that, even though it's been switched off, you know, and with a low feeding regime, nothing really happening in the pond, providing I don't let any leaves and stuff like that get in there. I still expect that to be at sort of 280, 300, which when I first plugged this in last June, I don't know what it was, I think it was 150, 160, something like that. So the pond should stay clean all winter, even though it's not running. But like I say, everything comes with compromises, and there are way round things, but it just gets expensive. I made a good decision on that mixing tube as opposed to the protein skimmer, because that just seems daft to me. If you're having to put a bag full of carbon over the exhaust to take the smell away, the ozone smell, then that ozone gas is leaking to atmosphere. It's not doing a thing, it's just a waste. And you know, it depends how far you want to get into it. Like I say, you can buy air dryers, you can buy oxygen generators. It just adds up and it gets ridiculous, but you know, I am pleased I've done that. And the main reason I bought that is because of the chloramine issue I've got with my tap water. Got fed up with spending hundreds of pounds on bloody catalytic carbon. And you have to shake and rattle that bottle about, and oh, it's hard work. Which means now I can fire this up, make soft water. But that's it. So would I do it again? Absolutely, I'd do it again. And you can do it on a budget. I mean, that mixing tube I think was like, I don't know what that was, 160 quid as opposed to 1200 quid for a sander full size protein skimmer. I don't know what that was, well under £1,000. You know, by the time you bought all your pipes and everything, you know, I reckon you could do it for £1,000. If you think about it, how much money are you going to spend on chemicals throughout the course of a season? One other thing, I've got desiccant. That's like silica stuff. Desiccant. I'm not running that because that just literally only lasts a couple of days, and you have to take it apart and stick it in the microwave and regenerate it. They change colour, they go red. But anyway, I've got something else that I haven't got round to fitting it yet. It's this here. I mean, this is just I mean, it's unfortunate. You think you'd be able to, they would have made this so you unscrew it so you can replace them pellets, but it's not. It's like a consumable item. It's a sundry consumable item, but it's not expensive. You just change that once a year. They're like lithium pellets in there, and again they will change colour to tell you when to take it off and fit a new one. It's a moisture trap basically. Takes the moisture, so any moisture that does get past that water trap, this is like a secondary safety thing. I haven't got round to fitting that because the last few days, well, the last 6 weeks, we've had fantastic humidity. Well, I can't believe that. I can't believe, you know what, I'm looking at this now, I've never seen it that low, 39% humidity in here, in a filter house. I know it's fairly well insulated in here, and the drum is all well insulated, you know, there's not much water vapour or water can escape, you know, or obviously it can breathe, you know, you've got breathing hole there and a breathing hole up there. But that is working fantastic. Anyway, I'm just wobbling on now. So would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. And like I say, that pond is looking pretty good. 36 hours in. I think it's 36 hours. I left it on all night and a complete day, so it's, yeah, 36 hours. If I come back in another 36 hours, that will be gin clear, that'll be crystal, and I'll probably do a follow-up video just to show you. But anyway, thank you for watching everybody, I do appreciate it, and if you like the video, please hit the like thumb and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks very much, bye.